And the economy got so wild, which I think we'll talk about today, where I had to have extra streams of income because I didn't have the privilege. I'll often tell people I didn't have a white husband at home, willing to to pay for me to, play for a couple of years.
You think it was important for you to kind of work for those gift cards or free meals before you had the opportunity to get paid to speak?
I do think people take advantage of some speakers because they don't know the game. Like, y'all are just creating social media for Instagram and TikTok and everybody just for free anyways. So why not have something in the bio that people can buy?
Welcome back to the Working While Black Show, your go-to resource for career growth and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Walter Gaynor II, and our guest today is Evolve Benton. Evolve is a speaking coach who helps you to communicate what you know and get paid from it. I asked them to join me for a conversation about the complexities of being an entrepreneur while also looking for a full-time job, what financial freedom looks like in the 2020s, and how 9-to-5ers can start making a little extra money while working full-time. Evolve actually called me out during the episode and also surprised me with a gift, not for me, but for y'all. So stick around for that, and if you're ready for a tactical conversation about how to secure the bag, then pay close attention to what they're about to say. We're starting right now. Evolve, thank you for joining.
Walter?
Yes. I was trying to think about when I first met you, and I don't remember. I think I don't know if I had found you from just the work you were doing and just offering some this program to help people become speakers, or if it's you a mutual friend. But just ever since I kind of met you digitally, it's just been just very genuine, just seeing you genuinely support others. So I'm really excited to be having this conversation with you today.
Yeah, thank you. I know we met on the line. I believe that we might have been in a similar Facebook group. I know we had a really good strategy call because I have a video of you giving a testimonial about how powerful it was. And I want to thank you for that, because at a critical time when I was building a lot of know, like, and trust in my audience, like you betted on me. And of course, you didn't join my program, but betting on me just to even get on a phone call and learn more was a big thing. And I think people being able to see that you were willing to do it as a testimonial, other people were willing to do it. So thanks for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was just from the thing that I bought. I got it on while you're running a promotion. I was just it just changed my whole perspective on what it means to be a public speaker. And at that time, it was just like, okay, I'm juggling way too much. I probably could have gone forward with it, but I just felt like I was juggling too much. Needed to just focus in on this one area.
And you found your focus, and that's the whole point of the strategy call. I think a lot of people get on strategy. Well, number one, coaches get on strategy calls and they try to automatically think they need to sell everyone. It's not about that. It's about clarity for you and the potential client. Like, all y'all aligned to work together. And then you should get something out of it too, because you're using your most valuable resource, which is your time. I don't want to ever waste someone's time and be like, oh, we just here because I need a sale. Like, no, we're here to see if we can actually collaborate and work with one another. So that's why I thank you, because that's your most valuable resource. Not your money, it's your time.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Evolve just walks with just oozes with authenticity and love for people, man. She's like, don't worry about it. You need to do what you need to do.
Yes.
I love that. Evolve, so, we're here, the Working While Black Show. It's kind of a career mixtape for people looking to take, or to have more ownership over their career, explore entrepreneurship, and really just kind of confidently walk along their journey towards wealth. And you're someone who helps people do that, but also does it themselves. But before we kind of get into you as the speaker, I'm just really curious about you as the employee, the professional. Like, what type of work were you doing before you just jumped into this world of speaking?
Yeah, that's a great question. I started off actually going through graduate school to be a clinical mental health therapist, right? And I got my actual degree in marriage and family therapy. And when I started to get my internship, I realized how expensive it was, especially towards time. Pretty much you have to do 3,000 hours and all this internship for free before you can get your actual license. So I had to pivot because I didn't have the privilege. I'll often tell people I didn't have a white husband at home, willing to to pay for me to, play for a couple of years. So I had to end up going on and getting a job. And my first job was working with foster care kids at a group home called Penny Lane Center. And I was their first LGBT advocate and trainer, which meant that they were including a lot of like gender diverse LGBT clients in their caseloads, but they were in houses that were gendered, right? So you had trans folks in like boys' houses and like trans women here, and right? So how do we create space for everyone to feel included? So I always tell folks that was my training ground as a speaker, but also as an employee, because I had to train everyone from clinical staff to their families to having conversations with young people about gender. And that was really the place where I grew a lot of my skills to be able to deliver in front of different kind of people, right? Because even though it's the same information, if I'm talking to a dad who's like, this is my son, not my daughter, right? Like, and having those difficult conversations, that's a lot different than the therapist or even some of the caseworkers that is working with that particular client. So that was the beginning. And then I pivoted into higher education. I did that for 10 years. And I was mostly like a diversity, equity, inclusion practitioner. And in regards to like starting my own speaking, I did that once I realized I could make money at it. And the economy got so wild, which I think we'll talk about today, where I had to have extra streams of income. So I was looking at DoorDash and everything else. And somebody asked me to be on a panel. And I charged $500. The Black woman was like, you need to charge us more. And I was like, oh, well, let me ask for $3,000 because that's how much I was getting paid that month. She said yes. And I've been kind of rocking ever since. So the clarity is really what, gave me the opportunity to make it a side gig. And then I had a lot of professional experience just having conversations with so many different constituents at the various institutions I worked at.
That's what's up. A lot of times when people are hearing stories like yours or listen to a podcast like this, it almost feels like a aha moment, and then there's overnight success. But I could hear even in that there's a lot of twists and turns. To me, it sounds like you were a strong pivoter. But back to like when you were still studying, it sounded like that first opportunity was in line with your education. But did it feel like that? Did it feel like almost like a moment of failure where you couldn't go pursue graduate school? Kind of had to find something else. Like, do you remember what was going on in your mind?
When I got out of college, we needed, this is why it makes me mad, needed a master's to get a job that was paying you 50 to 60K, right? And that was a bare minimum to make it in Los Angeles, right? So we needed it. And that's why I went to graduate school. I mean, of course I was like, I want to learn about mental health. I got family with issues. I got friends with issues. I could talk to people, right? Like I felt like I had that intuitively within me. But then when I found out about, and I guess this is the gift that I want to give to people, Walter, always investigate not just the degree, but what it takes to do the job you're going for and how much that compensation is. Because I just really didn't know how much therapists made. I seen a lot of like privatized therapists, and I was like, well, they making a lot of money, but you got to know marketing, branding, all this different stuff, and get the actual license to have that type of business. So oftentimes you don't see a lot of us in it. So did I feel slighted when I was not able to do it? A little bit. Yeah. Because I had worked really hard to get that degree, but I also knew that wasn't going to stop me from making money. Like I could figure out something else to do. And honestly, the job that happened at Penny Lane, my like mentor told me about it and was like, you should apply. So it's still connected to my network, which I think is so important, right? Like that's really what I've built throughout these various institutions that I work with, is strong relationships and a strong reputation. So when opportunities come up, they like, yo, Evolve, you should apply for this. And then I get to show out on the stage, whether it's an interview or a boardroom, and, secure that opportunity. So I felt slighted, but I also felt like this is the first time they're having this type of role. What can I do to bring to the table and make sure that other people get this other opportunity? And also like it's making more than most of the people who are doing therapy right now that I went to school with. So actually end up being a blessing in disguise.
Shout out to them blessings.
Man, blessings on blessings.
I love that. You mentioned two things that are really important to me. that clarity, and also just the ability to develop relationships. I think in this past year, actually, I've just really just whether it's just through some sort of meditation or just kind of realizing kind of how I've gotten to where I am. And it's all just, because of relationships. And it's not just because of that. Obviously, you got to be, people got to want to support you as well. But it's been helpful for me in that clarity as well. I've had coaches helping me with that, kind of finding that. I think speaking with you have helped me to find clarity as well. And that's just helped me to avoid distractions, because even sometimes opportunities are distractions from what I really want to do.
Now you preaching, huh?
Oh, just part time. Part time, I get a little soapbox to stand on it. Yeah. So, kind of curious. One thing I like to ask people is about that skill set or cheat code that's been able to help them kind of navigate their career, find opportunities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Would you say those are some of your cheat codes, or something else that you think has kind of helped you to really help you propel?
Mm. Two things that I didn't include that have helped me to propel are being okay with hearing no, and I would say being a damn good listener. And wait, can we curse? I'm not gonna curse
Yes,
a
we
lot,
can.
but okay, just
Yes, we
make sure.
can.
I'm grown, but this your show, so make sure I
Appreciate it.
respect the house. Respect the house. But yeah, I'm a really good listener, and I picked that up before the clinical psychology program. But the skills on active listening and reflection, I use that every day with my clients, and even in sales, to be able to like negotiate opportunity, because oftentimes when people are confused, if you give them clarity, like you just mentioned, they'll want to work with you just because you are like, oh, I understand exactly what you're saying, and no one else has listened to you. So many of us are like in rooms with people and we're not even clearly listening to them. Friends, family, we're on our phones, we're doing so many other things. So it's refreshing when someone actively actually listens to you. And I am the follow-up king. You could, until you tell me no, or probably hell no, I'm probably gonna still be like, yo, you sure? You sure? You sure? So I'm okay with no's, and it takes that, I think, to do the work that you and I do, right? Which is using our voice to create change. You have to be okay with some people ain't gonna agree with everything you're saying. That's all right.
That's true. I need to develop that strong follow up ask. That's what I need to develop. Hearing no's, being okay with that. That's something for a lot of people, me especially, kind of struggle with. Right? It the just sometimes the idea of rejection can just kind of halt us. We're just like deer in headlights, just like, I can't even attempt to try to do the thing that may get me the no, or it may even give me the yes. Like, have you always been that way? Okay with that? Is that something you had to develop?
Oh
What makes you
yeah.
okay with hearing a no?
I think I'm just grown now. I don't know what happened, because I used to not like it. I was really uncomfortable. I wish I could tell you where it came from, but I think the shift for me actually probably was that first no when I couldn't be a therapist,
Mm,
right? And then seeing that blessing on the other side. So I began to understand that I have some really strong ancestors, right? My mother passed when I was 21 years old. So I feel like she's
mm,
always watching me, but who will cut things if they ain't for me. Literally be like, nah. Now you might be outside the window crying, like, please let me in. This is the house. This is the place. But if it's not for me, it's just not going to happen. And oftentimes, what is for me is so much better. And I just don't have the imagination to see it yet. So even no's end up weirdly being a yes to something else.
mm.
So I'm really okay with it, because sometimes it's the steering that we need from either making a mistake or undercutting ourselves from the blessings that we're really going to get.
Yeah, we can't block them blessings.
We can't. We just can't do it. So a no is okay. A no is actually very much better for me than a I'll think about it. I don't like that, because then I'm like wide open with it. I got to have you on another list to follow up. We got to chase each other like cats. I don't want to do all that. So I'm just like, you sure you got to think about it? Rather just
Right.
tell me no.
I feel that. It helps it saves everybody.
Saves everybody.
You can change your
Everybody.
mind later.
Yep.
I feel that. Okay. Want to take a quick break. little water break, coffee break, and then we get back. I want to hear about this. Evolve already told us one of her first speaking gigs with 3,000.
Yes.
3,000. That's a couple months rent money for some. That's a whole. That's a lot. That's a lot for a lot of people. That was her first time, and how long has it been since that first 3,000?
Oh, that was 2015.
2015. It's almost been 10 years since then. So I'm excited to hear more about what this path has been like, and just learn more about how we could all get that bag. We'll be coming right back. I love podcasts. They allow me to share information and stories with you wherever you are all around the world. But I'm kind of craving some more interactive experiences. So I'm creating a live series that we'll be producing at least monthly, basically that you can tune into everywhere from the comfort of your home to on the go. Whether you want to listen live or be a part of the conversation. And when I say a part of, I mean we hear and see you as long as you want. Basically, I found some new ways to do this all virtually. So yeah, you could literally be in your PJs or do whatever you do, but you could be a part of the whole thing. Make sure you tune in, tap in, lock in. We'll be sharing invites in the I Love New Growth newsletter because we want to really build with the people who are here with us, right? We want to build with y'all first. Y'all be the first to find out about it, first to get the invites, and to learn more about what this whole experience really is, because it's kind of unique, not gonna lie. All right, so make sure you lock in newsletter. Link is in the description, and I'll see you there. All right, we're back, and we're gonna get right to it. As we left off, Evolve was sharing how almost 10 years ago, I'm making 3,000 from speaking, first time, just kind of speaking on what they knew. I think someone invited you to this panel, and you were just kind of like 3,000, maybe. That was right?
Well, no, they invited me to be on the panel. I said 500, and this amazing Black woman told me to ask for more.
That's right.
And I said, sure, ma'am. Great.
Shout to Black
3,000, because that's what I was getting paid a month. So I said, if I can make my month in 90 minutes, woo, come through.
Mm-hmm.
And did it come through?
That's right. You were contemplating things like DoorDash and all these different ways to make money, and that can. Shout out to the communitying with us, making sure that we're taken care of. So after that speaking event, like what were you like? Can you share what were you thinking? Like, oh, was this like actually better question? Did imposter syndrome kind of come into play before, during, or after?
I navigate this question with myself all the time of if it's imposter syndrome or if it's like my own fear and anxiety, right? Because I think anytime I have to speak, I get nervous still. One of the things that I share publicly often is that I grew up with a speech impediment. So I went through like speech development classes to navigate getting rid of like a lisp that I still sometimes hear. So anytime I speak, even before coming on with you, I had to do my pre-talk ritual. I went and walked my dog so I get some movement in my body. I made sure I had some water. I did a brief prayer. I did a couple of jumping jacks just to get because I get really kind of like really anxious, even though I end up always performing really well. So I definitely had like fear and anxiety leading up to it. And afterwards, I kind of felt like I got away with something. I remember that like, well, I got over on them. Like, whoa, they gave me this money. And then that's when I wanted to do more research. And I started to check in with some of my homies who were getting paid to speak. And I was like, oh, I probably could have got more. I was like, oh, this is actually a thing. Until then, Walter, I was getting paid to speak, but like to survive. So graduate school, I would go and share like poems or my experience. And they'd be like, you can come to these nice houses in Beverly Hills and we'll give you free dinner, maybe an Amazon gift card. And I was happy with that. I'm like, cool, I just got to get there. I can get a meal. This is rough life. I just need some good food, and to be taken care of. So I just had no idea that it was a field. I didn't realize that until that moment.
Do you think it was important for you to kind of work for those gift cards or free meals before you had the opportunity to get paid to speak?
I think it was a good understanding of if you don't ask, you won't receive. So I do think people take advantage of some speakers because they know the game. There's always a budget usually for speakers. But if, like, for instance, I'm having an event in June, and let's say I want you to come out and speak, but you don't know to charge me, and I got a tight budget anyways, right? Like, okay, cool. This person will come for free, right? So if you don't know the game, how long do you get taken advantage of? Now, what I do think is speakers need to practice before they start charging. And practice looks different for everyone. Some people, you've been practicing all your life because you've had positions or moments, or you've been a part of church or whatever, where you are using your voice probably daily or at least every other day. Cool. You done did the practice. Go on and just like craft it, make it a story, make it a framework, and let's go on and sell it. Some people don't want to practice, right? They don't want to do none of that. They just want to be like, oh, I could scream and yell on a microphone. You should pay me. It's like, that's not what we talking about, fam, right? So there's a balance that's in there. I appreciate every part of my story. I think that was your question. But I'm happy that that Black woman put me to the side, because I probably would have been taken advantage of a lot longer just because I'm so nice, like you said, and just not been aware of it.
That's real. I think I realized once that I was practicing without realizing it. Kind of to your point, I got the opportunity to speak with the African American Marketing Association at an event here in Atlanta. I got to be a moderator, and I had moderated some virtual things previously, and in a way that's practicing. In a way, being a podcast host is also practicing. But while I was there, I kind of noticed I was doing the same thing I was doing on these audio events that I was doing on LinkedIn. Got to be a beta, I think. Yeah. Yep. During that time, it was still in beta program, so it was still new. I was kind of new to it, but it was just being able to practice, not just moderating with the speakers, but trying to get the audience involved in the conversation as well, in whatever way it was, whether it's a reacting, coming up on stage, all the above. And I was able to basically like copy and paste that experience onto the stage in real life. And I actually remember that was the first time I've done anything public or even like private without that, where I wasn't like sweating. Cause I just sweat sometimes, like social situations. I could feel confident, but still whatever hidden social anxiety is there, the sweat comes. And I was like really proud of myself, but I think that came because of the practice. So I'm definitely one of those people who needs to practice too. So yeah. All right. So you did that. You spoke to your people. You learned that there's more money out there. Can you talk us through the next couple years for you? How often were you speaking? Where were you speaking? What was that life like for you?
Yeah, I spoke and did like consulting in the Bay Area the full time I was there. So I moved there in 2015 for love. Shouts out to everybody who has a partner. My wife got a job in UC Berkeley at the campus, and I was working at UCLA at the time, right, in LA. So she was like, come to the Bay. You come, like, we'll be together forever. And we were. So she was right about that. So I moved down there. We were dating, and it was expensive. Like, I was living in LA. I had like a rent control apartment, paying about $782 a month for a 2-bedroom down the street from Staples Center. I often tell her I gave up a lot for love, y'all. Like, I gave up a lot for love. So anyway, so I moved there, rent doubled, everything doubled, right? Food, everything. So that was just the thing that I was like, I have to do this consistently on the side, but I had the full-time job. So I had to be clear on like, what are the boundaries there? And I had some really good supervisors. So shout out to Clint and Lamisha at UCSF. They were my directors at the time. Both had different centers. One were over the LGBT center, the other one over the multicultural center. And what really started to happen is I would go and speak, and then I would tell them where I worked. I was never shameful about it. I was like, because I knew people trusted my institution. So I was like, we're doing this work, similar work at UCSF when I'm there during the day. So they would email UCSF, LGBT Center Multicultural, and be like, I heard you have a staff member that does training. So it started getting back to my bosses, and they were like, this is cool, but you got to do this outside of time. Like, you got to like take off time, or you got to figure it out. Like, it can't be during work time. And anytime something came through, my boss was like, hey, we got another one. And like I told you, I'm a relationship builder. So if I go and kill it, I'm usually like, hey, do you know of someone else who might need this training? Then they would refer me out, and it was just picked up, and it was more opportunity. So pretty much every University of California I probably have spoken at, from UC Berkeley to UC Davis, Santa Barbara, Riverside, all of those institutions. And then I would get opportunities at other colleges. And then I started to do tech companies. Like I told you, that's kind of the person who brought me in. So smaller tech companies that sold things like literally this keyboard, right? Making a version of that, to larger tech companies like Facebook, and would have conversations with them. So
what type of conversation, like how do you know what to talk about when you're speaking it? Because you brought up different types of organizations and things that I would assume
Yeah,
is
definitely. So the main thing that my talk is usually on is on LGBT inclusion in the workplace, or how to navigate anti-Blackness in the workplace, right? So we call it Black love and empowerment, and creating more space for Black folks to feel included and to retain that type of talent once you get it. So a lot of mine were like in the DEI lane. If I did something that was a little bit like more motivational, it would be guided towards like graduations, or, you know, like they have like cultural graduations at college campuses. So it'll be like the lavender graduation or the Black graduation, and I could be a keynote for those type of spaces as well. Now, what was really cool is I got to, you're a poet, right? In the past? No?
Not really. Not
Okay.
really.
So for some reason, I read you as that lane. So I wrote a poetry collection called Boy, right? Well, actually, it's called Sir, poetry dedicated to boyhood and Black queer love, right? But it has a signature poem in there called Boy, Born Obviously Incredible. And this poem is really about my journey of coming out and who I am. So I would share that poem as a part of a lot of my programming. And then my business partner and I made that a documentary. So we have a whole programming and framework that we do around that we've shopped around at different institutions as well, for like Pride Month or Transgender Day of Remembrance and those type of events as well. So that's another program that I've done.
Okay, that's a cool. All right, so you took well, actually, okay, two things. One,
I said a lot of things. I know. I told you I'm a little long-winded.
Love it. Hey, you know what? That's what podcasts are for. We got time. Appreciate y'all listeners. I know y'all got time too. If not, pause, come back later. It's funny you asked if I was a poet. Would not necessarily call myself one, but I do study poets because I think I'm amazed at the wordplay. You know, a lot of artists rap is poetry in a sense. So I like to study poets just to see how they just the power of words and the description and all that stuff. So do study them.
Well, write it in your notes, Walter, because most people who are probably professional speakers have some performance background. I've seen that. And I have that, right? Like I did poems before I even thought about like it being public speaking, just to express who I was. I went to Methodist College, HBCU, shout out Dillard University. So there were so many parts of my journey where I had to use my voice to advocate for what I needed and I wanted. And instead of saying it directly, I did it through poetry in the beginning of my journey.
Okay, I gotta ask as well then, and then we'll come back. I remember what you said before. We'll come back to that. Going to a HBCU, did that change your viewpoints on just life and existing as a Black person?
I mean, I don't know no different, so I think so. You know, I often talk to my wife about this because she went to a PWI, predominantly white institution, for folks who might be wondering what that is. People consider it the normal school. No, they got a name too, boo. Anyways, you could tell the HBCU shade is coming out. I think when you go to HBCU, your relationship to Black excellence is an uptick because you are being like trained and developed by the aunties and uncles of your life. And the stuff I had to do is way harder than some of the stuff I talked to my wife about. Like, you know, turning in by this time, like some lightweight hazing, love to you, but a little bit of that, right? And you felt more responsible because the people look like you. They sound like your mama and your auntie and them. So you don't want to upset them or disappoint them. So I definitely think that it shifted the way I look at how I represent myself, my brand, and just my Blackness in the world.
Love that. I'm a little jealous. My younger sibling went to HBCU. My cousin went to HBCU. A lot of people in the family went to HBCU. Did not. I had a good experience in my school, but just like sometimes I'm like, what if? What if? So
I feel you.
But yeah, back to you though. So I think it's just so cool that you kind of took this and you used the word framework earlier. I want to touch on that, but this your speech at these organizations kind of turned it into a documentary. I think
Hmm.
that's really cool because it's almost like you kind of tested it, perfected it. Like, what was that process? Did you know that you were going to turn it into a documentary that you could go ahead and flip like your Beyonce or something? Or was this just like oh, hold up, can we try this out? Like, was it all intentional?
It was not all intentional. So originally I had the poem and I knew I wanted to interview boys, people who were born obviously incredible, right? Like for me in my journey. So my business partner and I, Sir Lex Kennedy, we started a web series. That's what we were calling it. And then we started recording people and trying to edit it by ourselves with no money. And we realized that is not possible. This is harder than it looks on YouTube. So we would pause and then I was look at this. I was speaking for Penny Lane, right? They would send me to like Connecticut to go speak at LGBT conference or go speak at this leadership event in Kansas. And we would just be like, is there anybody here on the internet? Any boys here around? Can we interview you? Business partner would come because all we got to worry about is your flight, my flight, per diem, all that's taken care of. We would go on a sponsor. That's how we always used to say it. We're going to do it all on a sponsor, and we would interview different people while we were there. And then eventually we had so many interviews where my business partner was like, this could just be a documentary. And I was like, let's do it. And they were so inspired by the boy poem that it ended up being like the overlay of the actual documentary. Right. And because I have been performing and they have been going with me, there's all these different clips in the documentary of me performing in different places because of us doing it all on the sponsor. So it kind of happened organically, which is
Mm-hmm.
really cool. But I think, and I think about this now because the documentary is pretty old. It's probably coming up on 10 years. Um, we were documenting at a time when it wasn't even like people now, like just, all around with the camera. And I think intentionally we were just like trying to get our history down, but we didn't really realize it at the time. We were just like living and breathing it.
That's cool. That just happened.
It just happened, man. A lot of things in life just happen if you kind of like let it breathe
Mm.
and just fall into it and take advantage of all the opportunities that you have. Because for me, I was like, if I'm traveling all these places I don't really like, mind you, I'm an LA kid, y'all. I don't do a lot of traveling. New Orleans for my HBCU was it. So going to Kansas and Connecticut and all these random ass places, I'm like, I don't know about this. like,
I feel you.
So I was like, I'm taking my homie with me. And then my homie got a camera. So like, we gonna make some things happen.
Right.
But it's really for safety when I think about it now. Like, I don't feel safe going to these places by myself.
Absolutely. You never know what's going to pop off. And if it's not documented, it's your word against the
Right?
locals.
It was so smart. I'm really
Mm-hmm.
proud of my younger self. Good job, self.
Yeah,
Good job.
absolutely. Y'all, for anyone doing some travel stuff, Evolve might be the person you need to speak to.
I just say this, y'all. When you document your moments, be yourself. I see so many of you documenting the moments and missing out on yourself because you're trying to emulate someone else. Just record what you're doing and have a good time with it.
I like that because I saw a post on Threads actually, and it was just like about it was someone kind of saying, y'all stop just recording, get yourself together, put the makeup on, all that stuff, and then hit record. That's how you build like a six-figure multi-million-dollar business. And I was just thinking like, yo, what about the whole like being yourself part and just being? I think sometimes we kind of get in our head about being the influencer and being on camera type of thing versus just existing as human like you were talking about. So I love that
Yeah.
message.
Yeah.
That message.
I mean, now y'all, I did tell y'all I went to HBCU. So we don't want to be crusty on camera. See, this is where our community, I want y'all to listen clearly. I'm not saying don't brush your teeth. I'm saying just show up as you. But if you is unkept, then that's you. But I'm just saying you should be kept. We don't want to be ashy. That's rule number one of the ancestors. And we want to be hydrated and moisturized. So put on some lotion, some chapstick. Don't be crusty. That's not what we saying. I'm just telling them, Walter, because they will tag us and say we said it was okay. I'm
That's
not
true.
doubling down on that. No.
That's true. That's true. You could be Ashley Larry if you want to, but I gotta be the past. You can't,
It can't be a future thing, right? We got to keep it together. Because we represent, I don't think we realize how much we represent. So many of us do things and we be the first one. Like I was watching the NBA All-Star recently and somebody had passed some random record. And I was like, of course they did. We're still doing first every day, y'all. So you don't know when the day is. You might break a record or be the first of us. So you just can't be ashy because that's not how you show up.
Yeah. That's true. Don't be ashy. It's a message brought to you by Evolve. I love that. All right. So you're talking about, just kind of letting it breathe and let life kind of do what it needs to do. And I'm kind of curious, just based on some of your past threads, it kind of feels like maybe that's kind of where you're at right now. You need to kind of make some, you know where you want to be. There's a lot of different ways to get there. You're just kind of letting things happen. And I want to bring up a few threads that I just really love. I've been loving following you on threads.
Thank you.
Yeah. So one of them was from 8 weeks ago. Well, it's from a while ago. You said, I quit my job in January 2023 to run my business full time. I'll be going back to work in some capacity in 2024. I'm realizing financial freedom is going to require multiple streams of income and investment strategies. The time off has been so healing and I am thankful.
Ashe.
Man. And then also, I was wondering how I wanted to share this, but I have to do this back to back because this is just so cool. Like your life, I'm like, what? I love your life, and also so intrigued by it. And it just shows you could be the highs of the highs, but also dealing with things at the same time. So another post you made was, I spent the last weekend. You have to help me with this one. Bahia, Brazil.
Yep, Brazil. Yep.
Hey, said I couldn't do this as an employee. Thankful to be an entrepreneur. I also have 2 job interviews this week of the complexities in life. Yo, tell us what's going on. So before hear what you have to say, I just loved your openness, right? Because you could have stopped at I couldn't do this as an employee, thankful to be an entrepreneur, but you just kept it all the way 1000% real. That's what I like about you. And then in addition to that, it just felt so relatable because we're in this time of such unknown, where I think when that first wave of layoffs hit, it kind of just showed that, the whole like get a good job, a good paying job, and you're set is like having a job is no longer the only thing you need for security. And then also at the same time, because of things like inflation, we're realizing that everyone said, quit your job, be an entrepreneur. That's not all the security you need either. There's just a lot of unknowns in life. You need to be doing things the right way, and it still won't necessarily go your way. So can you talk to us a little bit about these complexities where you're someone who's seen tons of success, able to help other people with tons of success? I've seen like the screenshot and receipts of your clients, and they're just living their best life too. But yeah, can you talk to us about these complexities?
Yeah, I always want to keep it real, right? Like for me, the fantasy of entrepreneurship is just not something that I'm trying to push off to people. I want to be clear about like the journey on it. And the reason I quit my job, right, was to move to Atlanta, to buy our first house, and really to do some healing work. Actually, when I first got here, I had a miscarriage, right? Like when I was on the road to drive to Atlanta. So I was actually pregnant when I was coming here, right? Like, so that would have been way complex. Blessing in disguise and also sad, right? Like rest in peace. And doing some healing work around that. So I already knew I ain't going back to work even before that, right? Like I got to do some stuff. But I also was working in a place that was not the people that was challenging, but the systems were not going to allow me to do both. We're not going to allow me to grow my business the way I needed to, right? Because now I'm speaking and coaching people to learn how to speak and trying to do a job too much at one time. So I had to take a break and be like, okay, what does it look like to do this full time? And then I started doing this full time and I was like, this is cool, but I missed that extra light check, to be honest with you. And what does it look like to work at a company that can match my 401k so I can get to my financial freedom goal a lot quicker? So what really happened, Walter, is I started studying sales and studying branding so much where I was like, these people get paid a lot at most institutions. Like to be in sales, like we're talking about anywhere between 140 to 200 getting started. And that's not even on top of a bonus. So I was like, yo, this would be nice. Plus the money that I got coming in now. And most of the jobs are remote. I don't have to go to no office. Whereas my old job, I would have had to go into the office and the commute was 3 hours, right? So it just didn't make sense anymore. So I say all that to say, I'm all about the quickest way to the bag. And I talk to my clients about this. And if I realize I have skills that can make some money, I'm going to apply and see what I get. And I start getting some opportunities. And these are like some senior director roles that would be really amazing for my portfolio as a professional, but also make me a better business owner because most of them started off like as entrepreneur companies. Like, so for me, it's like, if I get a good offer, whether it's that or a speaking contract or a client who's like, Evolve, I want to pay you this much, I'm going to take it because I'm trying to get financially free, if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then I'm good. And that's the joy of being an entrepreneur, is because I have choice, not because I'm just hanging out at beaches all day, which that's nice as well. But choice is really what I wanted to buy when I left my job. Choosing where I work, choosing where I go, choosing who I choose to build partnerships and collaborations with. And the other thing I'll say, and then I want to check in with you, is too many entrepreneurs act like you just not working no more because you're an entrepreneur. It's still a job, y'all. Like, you still got clients. And even if you don't have clients and you have a team, you got to manage your team. So it's not like, oh, I left my 9 to 5. Yeah, I have more freedom, but I also have more bills because I got people that I have to take care of now, right? So it's not a all rosy type of situation. And I particularly want to retire early. I don't want to retire when I'm 60 or 70. If I was like that, then maybe I would be like, oh, I could just have 1 or 2 sources of income, but I want to retire in the next like 5 to 6 years. So that means that I have to invest a lot more. And if someone else is willing to pay that and I can still run my business, then cool.
I like that freedom of choice. I think that it is so easy when you're an entrepreneur with clients to no longer have choice. Maybe even to have less choice than you did when you had a job. You could easily find yourself working to please your clients or please even if your customers, even more than you did had to work to please your boss type of thing as well if you're not really set up properly. That's really real.
Yeah. Some people, they end up just building a whole nother job that they don't like. And I'm so thankful Speaking for Profit has not turned into that for me. I love my clients. But I also don't accept everybody and work with everybody. I think that if I was just like the go-to shop, I probably would like have a lot of money, but not like have a lot of freedom. So I wanted to build, both of those possibilities. So, like I was talking to my wife about it earlier today, because I probably will find out about if I got the opportunity soon. And she was like, "You still thinking about?" I was like, "I'm thinking about it like any other negotiation. Like the numbers got to make sense. The agreements got to make sense. Everything has to be aligned. These people are cool. They seem great. Like, but they interview well, just like I did, right?"
That's real.
And I kind of am looking at them just like a client. Like, are they paying the appropriate wages for us to be able to deliver the product that they want? And that is making me even I think going to make me a better partner or employee when I do go back to a place of employment, because I already will know that I can exit if I need to. And that freedom in itself makes you better at your job and better at negotiating opportunities at your job. I also think that it makes people respect you a little bit more.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I think there's a fear
Might scare
that
some people too, and they might not want to hire you, but then I don't want to work for you anyways.
kind of helping people weed themselves out.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. So I was on one of the interviews, and when is this going to drop?
March.
Okay, cool. We good then. So on On one of the interviews, this woman was like, so how are you gonna like close down your business? You're helping so many people. I said, who said I was closing down my business? She said, well, this is a full-time role. I said, I understand that. I said, I have a team. She said, how many people are in your team? And I told her, she said, that's really impressive. I was like, girl, like we got systems, we got a team, we got things. I'm gonna still run my business. When am I gonna shut? Like the assumption that pretty much got her checked off the list, y'all. Just to let you know. The assumptiveness for me was just like, you could just have curiosity, like, well, how do you imagine you're gonna do both? Like it seems like it would be challenging. But to say shutting down my business, girl, I almost flew through the Zoom screen. The ancestors held me back, Walter. They said, no, don't do it to her. Don't do it to her.
You're like, okay, Mom, thank you, Mom, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. But seriously, like the freedom of choice, like for me, leaving my 9 to 5 and just knowing that I can do it, oh, it feels so free. But also our economy, y'all, look at it. And me and my wife, we want another house now. You know, are you married, Walter?
Not yet. Loading.
Okay. I'm going to give you some advice, okay? And I'm going to lean in and she right there. I'm going to whisper, they're expensive. These wives, they're extremely expensive. And when you get them one thing, they want something else. So now, of course, you know, we got to get a new house, right? But this is also a part of our financial freedom house. Like we want multiple properties. I already know if I try to like say, oh, I'm gonna get a house with Speaking for Profit, they're gonna be all up in my business. But if I had a W-2, they give me a loan tomorrow.
Yo,
they give me a loan tomorrow. So you gotta be strategic with your financial freedom plan. And that's all I'm doing. I'm being strategic as possible. And I suggest that everyone do that. Don't let don't entrepreneurs, coaches, gurus convince you to starve yourself or your family or to be working into your 70s just because you're too proud to say, I want and need a job. Do not do that to yourself. Like, there's too many ways to make money, y'all. Like, you could pick up some real part-time and use your skill set and make the money just to take care of your house. Just take care of your house so you ain't stressing your house out. And then all the money you're making from your business, that's just icing on the cake.
Evolve, you out here dropping gems after gems. We got some like pro tips on navigating interviews, what it means to kind of put yourself in a position to really wanting to retire early, life advice, marriage advice, house advice. Let me tell you from experience, we got a house as well. Congratulations, by the way, on getting your house.
Thank you.
Sorry about the miscarriage as well. I hate to hear that. Love that y'all are still progressing and growing, because that's a huge hit. That's a huge blow. But loving to hear just all of these kind of intentional changes you're making. I want to say that before I forget. But also thank you for all these gems. I think it's very interesting the challenges that entrepreneurs have versus people that employees have. Because you are right. You have a W-2 looking for a house or a loan. They're only going to ask so many questions. You have your own business. They've got 3 months worth of questions and stuff you got to have. You have to have everything in order. That's not to scare people away, but just, LLC Twitter has you thinking, get your LLC, quit your job, and you're rich tomorrow. It's not that.
Like that, y'all. It's just not. And they literally, y'all, take longer to qualify you when you try to do it that way, right? They qualify you for less usually, especially as a Black-owned business. So you've also got to just look at the data. And I think sometimes all processes to me are going to be always harder for us because we're Black folks. I just think that that's just a part of the way the system is built. So any ease that you can add to that situation is going to make the strategy a lot easier for you. So that's how I'm looking at it. Like, I'll take another sabbatical, if a bigger bag hits. So that's what I have to keep telling these people, Walter, and they don't believe me. The quickest and biggest bag. The quickest and biggest, because I want to be financially free now. Like my next life, Walter, and I'm just gonna tell you this, so it's on record. I will live with coordinates. Y'all will not have an address.
Ooh.
Coordinates. One.
The longitude, latitude.
And I'm probably not going to be speaking. I'm going to be tired. I'm tired of talking. Been talking for years. So I'll probably just paint the same picture every day and sit out, in my land and listen to the chickens and stuff. Maybe grow some fruits and vegetables. But I'm trying to be chill. I'm trying to be
Feel
chill.
that. I feel
Mhm.
that. The way this AI is going, you might not have to use your voice ever again. But
They
mhm.
might try to sell our voices. We gotta figure this stuff out. Like I was
Ooh,
telling the homie that I'm like, I mean, I'm not that famous, but we got nice voices. We do. Kind of
do very
scary.
well in an audio book, a
Yeah.
an audio drama,
Ooh,
video, movie,
right. An
film.
animation, right?
Ooh,
Simpsons.
ooh, oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. All right, y'all. We're gonna take another quick break, but when we come back, I'm gonna ask Evolve about what that number looks like for retirement to move closer to that house in the longitude, latitude. And also, Evolve been dropping hints about, getting started while you're working. So I'm gonna ask about that as well right after this. If you plan a trip to Asheville, North Carolina, you gotta visit Noor Collective. It's a black and woman owned boutique art gallery and bookstore that celebrates and supports the black community in Asheville, North Carolina. I was actually just there for the first Friday events and was completely blown away. I met local artists, storytellers, entrepreneurs, and even two living civil rights icons who led the move to desegregate the public school system in the city. Asheville is a beautiful place, and the whole trip was memorable because of Noor Collective. So visit them at norcollectiveavl.com to learn more about the store and plan your next trip to the Blue Ridge Mountains. All right, we are back and Evolve. Let's get right into it. You say you want to live on the longitude, latitude, no zip code with the chickens. You also mentioned earlier looking at both working as an employee while having your business running because you need that multiple income streams, a kind of multi-angle strategy to hit that number so you can retire 5-6 years. Can you
Yeah.
share like what that number is or what it looks like? I don't know if it's something specific, but what is it in your head, that vision that when you reach that specific thing, you're like, okay, now we can evolve. Oh, I like that kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I studied under Aman and Christina, Our Rich Journey, for folks who want to check them out on YouTube. And they have a program for people who are interested in FIRE, which is financial independence, retire early. So my wife and I sat down, looked at our assets and our debts, and decided on what number we wanted to be able to get ultimately financially free, where we were like, didn't have to go back to work. Of course, you can always go back to work, right? But when you're retiring early, you can't necessarily pull all your retirement funds. So you have to have things set up that are going to still be able to pay you when you are lollygagging on whatever island, right? So I believe our number is around 6 million, right? That's what we want to have invested. And the way we're looking at it is we want like some cash flowing properties that can bring money in once they're paid down through rent and rentals, whether that's Airbnb, and then also having money in the market as well that's able to pay us. We both have businesses. She has a consulting business, I have one as well, and I'm interested in also purchasing maybe other businesses later on down the line, potentially like a laundromat or some easy cash businesses that can bring money in for us when we go into early retirement. So that's a little bit about the strategy, but you can do it however you want to, right? And that's what I love about the course that I took. They talk a little bit about like if you want to do it from just straight real estate, if you want to do it straight, like, going in the market. And they did a mixture of both. I think that's why we're attracted to that. And also, like, real estate is just something good to have that's like tangible, right? Like having a tangible asset that you can go to when shit goes down, right? Y'all see the rich people building them bunkers under their houses.
Mm.
And then also having things in the market, right? That's consistently making money. That mixture is what's going to get us to that goal.
Yeah. When you said bunkers, you reminded me of that movie the Obamas did, Leave the
Yeah,
World Behind. Have you seen that?
I seen that, and I am like convinced I need to build one.
Man, man, y'all check that out on. This is not a plug. That's help save yourself
Yeah,
type
help
of
save
thing.
yourself, y'all.
Yo,
Immediately go watch it and then get to planning. Like,
right?
I
You
don't even
go,
need to, I'm not even going to give you your plan because you need your own and we all need our own.
yeah. Matter of
Right. But
fact,
I'll tell you this now, Walter, if you came to get some medicine, I got you, fam. Like, I
you
wouldn't
got
act brand new. I
I
got you.
got you
I
too.
wouldn't
I
act
wouldn't
brand new.
point nothing at you. Yeah, it'd be like, okay, the only thing I'd point at you is the map to navigate the bunker to the medicine cabinet.
Right.
Yeah, so y'all go pause this, go watch that, and then come back because we're about to talk about how you can start making that plan for you. Evolve. There are so many ways that were shown on how to go out and get some money. Some of it feels spammy, some of it is scammy, but a lot of it is legitimate. But sometimes just the choices that are out there feel overwhelming, and then it's just like a how to get started feels overwhelming. And then for a lot of us, we're in this need or this moment where we're, not even moment, but life is life in, and we need some money
Yeah.
right now. It's my money and I need it now. So what are some ways that people could just start? Because it's not always an overnight thing. But what
Mhm.
are some ways that people can start securing the bag while they're working full time?
Yeah. I think one of the greatest and easiest ways is to monetize your message and your expertise. Guaranteed, if you're in an industry, that there are conferences, events, summits that happen around that topic, and you going to be a free speaker first, right? Go over deliver, share your expertise, and always have a way that people can inquire around your paid opportunities. I say be prepared for the call. So have a Calendly set up so that you can get on calls with them. That would be my first thing. Many of y'all right now are going to your national conference and you're already going to be presenting this year because your boss told you need to do it for professional development and so you can get a raise at the end of the year. Make sure you take a survey of the people in the audience, and in that survey, actually, don't even do that, y'all. Use a platform called Talkadot, and I'm gonna give the link to Walter. It'll
Mm.
give you a QR code where you could put it up on your PowerPoint. It'll ask people how you did, and one of the questions it'll also ask them, would you want to bring this person in to pay them to speak? So you'll walk away with that conference with a list of at least probably like 10 to 15 people that check yes, that you can follow up with and secure some opportunity. So if you're already going, you might as well shameless plug yourself because you're up there doing most of the work and make some extra money. So that's the first thing I would do, right? Most of y'all, especially y'all who are in corporate environments, you're already going to events and speaking, secure the bag. The second way I think that most people can be making some money is by creating some type of digital asset. Like y'all are just creating social media for Instagram and TikTok and everybody just for free anyways. So why not have something in the bio that people can buy? It doesn't have to be a course right away. Most people don't even finish courses. Short masterclass, maybe a check sheet, maybe an infographic, just something that people can download and pay you could be really easeful, and it also builds your credibility. Third way, get some merchandise. Put that little quote you always saying to your sweetheart on a t-shirt, throw it on Printify, put it on your link in your bio, and guarantee some homies will buy your t-shirt. Start wearing it every time you do a live or every time you do some type of content. There's so many easy ways to just like set things up because y'all are already contributing to the creator economy by posting things every day on your content. So it's like, why not lead people to a way that they can pay you? So let's go over it one more time, right? First one, go to that conference, corporate conference you're going to, use Talkadot, go on and put a QR code up there, get some leads, follow up with them, get some paid speaking opportunities. Second way, create a digital product that people can go on and download and pay you for on your social media. Third way, create some merchandise that they can pay you for. Easy breezy.
That's so cool because you could do all of those. Not even you could do it linearly. You could do it non-linearly. You could do a little twist and turn, step
Yep.
back, step
And
forward.
y'all already posting pictures of your furry friends and your trips, and y'all give so much content on social media. You might as well get paid for it.
Man. So real like let's go even deeper just on the digital product side because that is like out of those three. Well, the t-shirt's actually really easy too. But the digital product side is I feel like we all do have expertise, and it's like if you have a job then you actually do have an expertise in something that's going to be valuable to somebody else. But sometimes it doesn't feel that way. And you mentioned
Mm,
did you say infographic as an
yep.
example?
Yep.
An infographic, how much can someone charge for an infographic?
If
And
this
before
pen
that,
said,
actually, sorry, for those who don't know, infographics is essentially just this PNG or PDF. It can be super illustrated, but it's just this like one pager type of thing that just has some either stats or information, some takeaways, just like one thing. You don't have to scroll forever. You can make it beautiful. You can make it ugly. It's just something with a lot of just stats, data, some quick takeaways as people could just look at it real quick and go on about their day. But yeah, sorry.
exactly. And the great thing about infographics, right, Walter, is that it shortens the concept to something that's visual, right? So let's say you work at a school and you want to illustrate how people learn English from preschool all the way up to K through 12. You might have a report that you've already put together. Infographic is going to give it to you in probably 1 or 2 pages and show you a roadmap, give you the visualization of it, and make it simpler and shorter, right? So I want people to realize that it's just the same thing we're doing with content. Long form turned to short form so somebody can get it real quick. Infographic. How much can you charge for it? Depends on your brand. Are you building a Toyota Corolla? Or are you building a Bentley brand? Which one? Because some people charge $100 for an infographic. Some people I've seen charge $999 for an infographic, right? Because the price is the price that you set it at and the price that people are willing to buy from. So I would say probably like the average person is going to spend anywhere between $10 to $40, depending on what the subject is, the average person. But do you want to work with average people? That's really up for you to decide and for you to really know your audience, right? Like if I'm talking to a football player who has a lot of like funders and developers in their audience that could pay that $1,000 for infographic and has influence, maybe you should put it at that. If I'm talking to someone who's just working at an education institution and has a lot of those type of people in their audience, maybe you should start at the 10 to 30.
Okay. Okay. You know what? I'm a I'm gonna challenge every single one of y'all watching, listening, wherever you're catching this, even if it's secondhand, to go ahead and put up a digital product up. There's plenty of places to put it. Gumroad, I think, is just one of like a popular one. Just put it there. You could charge, you could not charge, you could do whatever. And I'm gonna take this challenge as well. And I'm just gonna charge $5 because I just want, in case y'all need an example, basically is accessible. $5, an infographic. I'll try to think of something that would be good takeaways, type of thing. And I'll
Can
put
you
it up.
charge at least 10?
10. All right. I'll put it up to 10. I'll put it
Yeah,
up to 10.
I'm the speaking for profit coach. So I couldn't let you go on this interview with me with a $5 product. I'm also feeling some kind of way about the 10, but it's your show and it's your house. So I also don't want to step on your toes too much, but 10 will be good.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna make it 10 because I want y'all to just go ahead and get it. It'll just be something light, still valuable, but something light. But y'all almost getting me in trouble with the Vol. Can't have that. But yeah. So, all right. So that's a challenge. Digital products. I really like that. I am working on. If y'all watching this, you see the I Love New Growth shirt. Just mine. Working on the merch store. I had something up before. We're evolving it a little to something else. So I'm gonna have that up soon too. But I really love that whole what to do as a speaker. That QR code, that is so valuable. And just thank you for sharing that. And I think that's just this whole interview, this whole conversation just shows like just you have just a whole other way of thinking about things, whole other perspective. It just feels fresh. It feels accessible as well to someone who may be in one of your programs. So you tell us a little bit about your programs, because I think one thing you didn't mention as a way someone could get started is, well, I guess you did actually mention it, but the whole process of becoming a paid speaker is a lot more accessible than we all realize. We all think we need to already have that TED talk, have like millions of followers and all this stuff, be a superb speaker and everything all ready from the get-go, but that's not necessarily the case. A lot of that kind of comes over time or even through your program. So could you tell us a little bit about, actually, let's just start off with why you even started the program, because you were already speaking, right?
Yeah, definitely. I started Speaking for Profit University because during COVID, I got to see how unprepared, particularly diverse speakers were during that time. So many people had contracts that were falling through. They didn't have anything that said, hey, you got to pay me a percentage no matter if the event happens or not. And I got a lot more opportunity during that time, right? So I was like, well, what has set me up and prepared me? And I realized I knew a lot more about the business side. So I decided to help some homies. I literally say that my beta group that went through Speaking for Profit Academy at that time was just a bunch of people who trusted me. They made money. I made money. We had a great time. My first launch, I think I had about 15 to 20 clients, and everyone found a paid opportunity that went through the program. Some people always, doesn't make it through. And what I would say, particularly, Walter, on people who are looking and interested in getting started, there's two ways. One, we have an amazing 5-day challenge that we have probably like about bi-monthly right now, where we run you through the process of building a speaking blueprint where you can start your business and be securing 5-figure contracts. 5-figure contracts turn into a 6-figure business. And we're going to talk about the frameworks that we talked about today, not just how to get paid to speak, but how do you turn that speech into a digital product, into other assets, so that even when the person might not have your rate, you don't have to say no, but you can actually maybe license out a course or do different things to keep the relationship going and keep building your income, right? So that's the 5 days to 5-figure speaking gigs challenge. That's step one on working with me, right? I want to see people who are committed. And then I always will give you an opportunity to know more about like my higher level coaching programs, which are usually to work with me for a year, because it takes time to build out true systems and sustainability for yourself. The second way, which most of y'all will probably be interested in, is I have a membership program called the Speaking for Profit Circle. Now, this is great because it has master classes and key trainings on how to get that first paid speaking opportunity, or maybe the first high paid. Some of y'all have been paid to speak at church a couple of $100 or like me for dinner, but you've never been paid thousands. We want to get you to that point. And what's great is we have a master class in there that teaches you how to use that platform I talked about called Talkadot, if you want to get that before you go to your corporate event this year. And you can join that today, right? It's $99 a month, and it gives you an opportunity to be coached by me once a month and a bunch of amazing master classes to help you secure that first high paid opportunity. So those are the two ways where you can get started with Speaking for Profit.
Okay, so the second one, $99 a month.
Speaking for Profit Circle.
Speaking for Profit Circle. Get that
the
coaching.
Most diverse speaking group in the world. That's what we're coining ourselves as.
Okay.
Yes,
like
the most diverse, right?
I like that.
Yes.
And I've met some of the people who are in, I think, one of your programs, and yeah, definitely just people from not just even diverse, like, what culture from, but just your life experiences.
Yeah.
And also the just y'all you have some amazing people in the group. Very smart people. I like that. And I liked it because it was cool to be in a place where you're growing with people as well, because you could see that, oh, you felt a little insecure about that too. Yep. Oh, you didn't feel that, but you're feeling something else. Yep. Oh, you got that contract? Oh, so exactly. I like that.
And we're building our own economy, right? So I always say, like, most folks within Speaking for Profit do things together. Right. So a lot of y'all are going after these $30,000, $40,000 contracts by yourself. And that's why you're not getting selected, because the people know that you can't do this by yourself. So my clients go in together and say, hey, we're going to go in as a team. We're going to submit this proposal. We're going to submit this to this organization. And they win often because they're going in collaboration. So it also gives you some folks to collaborate with as well.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire. Yeah, you have some very interesting. The 5-day challenge seems almost kind of crazy, like, but it sounds like an overnight type of thing.
It's not really an overnight type of thing, but I will say this: I just wrapped up the challenge, and someone, let's see, they wrapped up the challenge in December. They secured an $8,000 contract by January. By utilizing the strategies, right? So it's not overnight. It's going to take you a couple of weeks, but a lot of y'all are already primed for it. You just need instruction and a strategy and discipline. That's really it. And that's what the 5-day challenge gives you. Because 5 days, you're doing the same thing every day. If you keep it going, and you do it the next week, and you keep going the next week, then you're building your business. A lot of times, y'all won't take the time to pause to build the business. You just want it to be built. So the 5 days gives you the structure to be able to do that. And then some of y'all are like, you know what, Evolve, I need ongoing accountability. I want to actually be a part of this mission. And y'all will join the Speaking for Profit Academy. But then you'll know in 5 days if you're ready for it. And I'll know who I'm truly working with, which will make it even a better fit for both of us.
That's dope.
Yep. It don't take that long, y'all. It's not overnight, but consistency is overnight, right? Like, I mean, consistency is a long-term game. You get one win, and then you need a system to get another win, right? Like, you ain't just gonna keep winning without a system. I mean, you might, but you're gonna break down sooner or later. Probably in the middle of the road somewhere.
Yo, if you're listening to this, I know you've experienced burnout before, because I have. I have, right? Before we started recording, Evolve and I were both talking about consistency, and I was kind of sharing that that's one of my challenges. If y'all like a day one been following me for a minute, you know I've taken a couple breaks, and it's because sometimes it was needed for just me, or sometimes life kind of called on me to need it, or I had different opportunities, and I was like, okay, I need to pause this to go pursue that. But consistency is definitely something I've kind of struggled with, and it sounds like you're kind of helping to build those systems, kind of habit forming systems, that kind of help people so that it's not even about being consistent, it's about being disciplined and kind of following the steps of the step.
And you just, this is the last thing I'll say, Walter. Really what I think Speaking for Profit does, because I was talking to someone today and they're like, what's your promise? What do you promise me? You promise they're going to get paid? I'll work with people until they get paid. Like, I'm not that coach that's like, oh, you've been with me this long, you didn't get paid. Bye. No, I'm going to keep working till you figure out what's going on. But really what it gives people is community. Like, isolation is like at the all-time high right now for so many people. So that sense of community is really what holds people accountable. People think it's me as Coach E, and I think I'm amazing. But when you say it in front of 20 or 30 other people, what you're going to do, that's a different kind of accountability. People that you trust and that you actually value.
That's facts. There's nothing like showing up to the next accountability meeting and be like, sorry, I let y'all down. Because it feels like I let y'all down. It's like you sometimes it's like you kind of letting yourself down can become a habit. And it's just like, I'll do it next time. But when you're letting other people down, you just kind of feel it a bit more. It's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah.
All right.
So before I go, Walter, can I give them something for free? Because you know me, I love to give a gift. Can I do that?
Oh, we like gifts.
Yeah, because the 2 things we just talked about, y'all would have to pay for, but I want y'all to be able to get started like for now, right? And I know one of the things that stopped me was I wasn't sure how much I could get paid. Like, what can I charge? So I actually put together a training called How to Determine Your Price as a Speaker, and you can get it for free. All you have to do is text me the word speak to 323-405-9492. You'll be put on my text message list. I'll send it right to you. And then, when I drop podcasts and have events coming up, of course, I'll let you know about it. But I want to give that to you so you can see how much money you're missing out on. And hopefully that'll convince you, right, to take this serious and build some extra income into your life.
What's that code and number one more time?
Yes. Text the word speak, SPAK, to 323-405-9492.
I love that. Yo, I didn't know she was going to come with gifts. I knew she was going to come with gifts, and that was a gift of knowledge, right? That Evolve's been sharing this whole entire time, their whole life experience, their journey. There's just so much that I've learned just as you as a person, but then also I'm out here taking the mental notes, and I get the opportunity to going back to listening to this over and over again as I edit, and just to really absorb it in. But I did not know you coming with that type of gift. Pricing is something I've always struggled with: how to price this, how to price that. Yeah. So thank you, Juan, for that.
No problem.
I also love this because this is what I kind of built this show on, is all about creating support systems, right? And also showing people who look like us, who come from our community, who have gone from surviving to thriving. And not to say that everything's sunshine and rainbows, but that they've experienced things and come out of it as well. And that's I think sometimes we feel like we're alone, kind of dealing with this or that, partly because we just, imposter syndrome, self-consciousness, or maybe the world makes us feel like we're alone dealing with this. So I just appreciate you kind of just being you and sharing with us all, because that itself is a gift. But you also come in with more gifts too, and that's really dope too. So yes, I'm gonna put that number, the code in the description. If you're watching a video, you've already seen it pop up. But where can everyone follow you and just be a part of your support system as well?
Yeah, definitely. You know what? I think the greatest place to stay connected is actually on YouTube. You can check out the Speaking for Profit podcast. That's where I am at every week. We drop a new episode every Monday. We'd love for you to come and check it out. And if you're interested in any of our programs or services, go to speakingforprofit.com. That's speaking with the number 4 profit.com, and you could check out all of the things that I talked about today, including the 5-day challenge or joining our amazing community, the Speaking for Profit Circle.
Okay. Have that link too. Appreciate you. Thank you for your time. I know you mentioned at the beginning you were thankful for my time, so I just want to say once again, thank you for your time sharing with us. Y'all tuning in, listening, watching. If you enjoyed this, drop any questions, comments you had in the comments on YouTube or wherever you are watching this. If you're listening, please give us a nice little reviewy, a rate.
Give us a thumbs up, y'all.
Thumbs up, all them things, because one, just it's good feedback, and then two, it helps other people who are just looking for new information. It kind of gives that social proof. So they see someone else be like, oh yeah, I like this particular thing, or I like that, I like this. Like, okay, I want to like that too. So give us that, and also make sure you're following, because this is what we do. We're dropping gems with people who are out here doing it for real, not just talking about doing, but are doing it, and have decided to come share it with us. So appreciate y'all for tuning in, listening, and watching. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.